So now that you're back, I'll take some time to explain this. I have 4 spell cards, and you'll notice if you can see there's these gold borders around the items I'm selecting here. And then there's this thing that says bomb, spirit barrier, which has a red border. The red border thing is what's known as a system card. System cards are common and a lot weaker. They don't have the sheer clearing power. This run will most likely make use of system cards because the game is balanced around them. The spell cards I'll try not to use because I don't want anything to become any because they're not really needed if you're good. They're an emergency tool because some cards are crazy enough that I want to give players the tools they need. So, welcome to the Sanzu River. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the most generic stage of the bunch. There's really nothing to talk about in this. There's a lot of numbers. So, you might be thinking, wait a minute, these guys mostly only shoot 1 bullet at a time. How can that pattern possibly be different on Lunatic? The answer mostly comes down to the fact that on Lunatic, these guys are all more aggressive and shoot more often. And at 3 power, Heck Arrow Fire starts to become kind of powerful. And Illusion Laser also. At 3 power is a pretty big power jump for most weapons. And yeah, Magic Missile, as you can tell, is your splash damage weapon. It's... Otherwise, this stage, as I said, this stage took some time to design, but honestly it was pretty lazy, and you can tell because fundamentally it's a flat map. Also I'm taking a lot of damage I really shouldn't be. Illusion Laser pierces, and that is a very powerful property you'll want to make regular use of. I'm going to go back and grab... I accidentally woke up some of these fairies from the other side of the river. So I'm going to go back and actually grab that green armor from the start of the map, because I am playing this badly. Should not be taking this much damage. And I'm pretty close to getting to 400 power. 400 being the maximum. And once you get to 400 powers, well, let's just say that's a big power boost for most weapons. Aw, come on. There's gotta be one more power cube. Drat, these ones are all up there. Well, that's awkward. I have to go into Midboss Komachi with just barely no. Hold on. Damn it, didn't drop. Alright, so I have to go into Midboss Kokuma with slightly less than full power. Or not Kokuma, what am I saying? Komachi. And yeah, sometimes you'll drag these fairies in. You just have to get used to the fact. Ow. Alright, full power. Let's make this work. This is a very silly, risky strategy, and typically it does not work as well as I'm making it look like it does. But when it does, it's amazing. Now that's risky. Normally you start taking a lot of bullets to the face as a result of that strategy. Oh, and on easier difficulties, there are actually just less fairies, because that is how Doom generally scales its difficulty. It scales the number of monsters, usually scales the monster quantities. So I do that sometimes too. So yeah, there's not too much to talk about this map, because again, it was pretty much designed in a very quick fell swoop. As a little interesting note, you might notice I've been dodging the water. Yeah, you die if you touch the water, so don't do that. In fact, gonna save and demonstrate. Yeah, it's kind of deep. Funnily enough, it also kills enemies if you do this. So, Komachi is the second boss of episode 2, and there's not too much to talk about her. Both of her spell cards are taken from the fighting games, or the first 2 spell cards are from the fighting games, and her third is actually from Touhou 9, where she was introduced. And again, she's fighting you basically out of obligation because you're on the wrong side of the afterlife barrier. For official purposes, she needs to pretend to try and stop you. So her attacks often tend to be somewhat distance-based. And actually, yeah, I'm gonna keep fighting this one. A lot of attacks get easier as long as you're moving. Because you see these spirits go up in this. Okay, I'm going to save my game and demonstrate a few. I want to demonstrate something kind of funny Komachi does. So you might think, wait a minute, this arena's... Yeah, she does that if you try to run away from her. Because, yeah, this arena's a bit too open because there's no lock mechanisms. And yeah, most of the time, if you run around the bend, she will actually just pull you awkwardly into the river like that. So you have to actually maintain... You have to make sure to maintain some proximity. Again, this one. As long as you aren't in the center of the big thing, of the beam of death, you're generally pretty safe. Last card. Okay. This card is just really dense, so in general you just want to maintain a lot of distance. But not too much, because yeah, if you trigger the thing, that's not good. Because getting pulled in... And she's moved closer, so I can't move all the way back here. Whew! That was actually a really good Komachi. And yeah, she drops the case, and that will be it. Don't tell my boss about this. That her boss being a reference to a character who does not appear in Touhou Doom named Shikieki. So that's one of those tidbits for the people who know Touhou. So yeah, there's not too much to talk about it. This map was fairly generic. It's large numbers of fairies. And as you can this is where it starts becoming clear that how fairies act is just completely on entirely based on a stage-by-stage thing. There's no real... You kind of just have to find out how fairies' behaviors work by letting them shoot at you on a per-stage basis. It's kind of a Danmaku thing. Each stage has the way it's meant to be routed. So that's map 11.